Well, the first quarter of this year has really given us a lot of music to digest and a lot of music from pretty prominent prog bands. So, wow, that's fun to say, pretty prominent prog bands. Anyway, let's dive in and talk about this latest effort from a pretty prominent prog band. It All Leads to This by the Pineapple Thief. So, the Pineapple Thief, man, if I didn't have a more rocky and tumultuous past from any other prog band, I don't know what it would be. Pineapple Thief is a progressive rock band from the UK, and I always call them like a modern progressive rock band. You know, they got their start in the basically the very late '90s and coming into the 2000s in that same kind of way that like Porcupine Tree with Steve Wilson was doing, and then later on Gazpacho would continue to do. They're kind of infusing this like indie rock styles that we would get from like an Elliott Smith or Decemberists or Arcade Fire with a more progressive leaning. And I really came onto the scene when they put out their 2012 album of All the Wars. It really knocked my socks off. I really like this kind of blending, this crossover of this more accessible style of progressive rock that was rock first in a indie scene that also transformed into a progressive rock landscape. And then from there, I went back and I loved Someone Here Is Missing, Tightly Unwound, What We Have Sown, and Variations on a Dream. Like, these 5 records really do showcase some of the best modern progressive rock outfits. And I would even classify this as being like contemporary progressive rock in always moving the bar forward, always trying something new, and always pushing things a little bit forward. Yes, they might be leaning a little heavily on that early era of Radiohead from like OK Computer back. Yes, they're definitely flirting with the Steve Wilson style of No Man, Blackfield, and Porcupine Tree. But they're also trying to carve out their own signature style while in the attempts of doing so. Unfortunately, after All the Wars, I have never really been impressed with anything that the band has put out. Magnolia, Your Wilderness, Disillusion, and Variations of the Truth have all landed at most kind of flat, kind of disinteresting, and at worst, complete write-offs. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And it's a shame because at this point in their career, this is when they're really carving out their own identity and their own style. And I just feel as if that style that they found is less than exciting for me. And I know I'm the odd one out. I know everybody loves Your Wilderness. It was the first album to include Gavin Harris on drums from Porcupine Tree themselves, as well as King Crimson, and just one of my favorite working drummers. But I've never been excited by anything that they've done after All the Wars. Magnolia, the last track, was okay, but the rest of the album was a complete write-off. Your Wilderness from start to finish was a complete write-off. Disillusion had a couple moments here and there that I found were very interesting and very okay. But I don't know, Versions of the Truth just kind of left me wanting more. And even their reworkings of some of the songs that they did in 2022 of Give It Back was less than stellar. So I wasn't all that excited when it came to It Leads to This. Like, I could have taken it or left it, and the bar was set pretty low. And what I'll say is that they met the bar. You know, the bar was set low, and they met that bar. It's still far and away, like it is streets behind what I loved from All the Wars and Tightly Unwound and Someone Here Is Missing. Like, it still is begging for that. And yeah, like outside of a couple tracks here and there, I really like that first single of The Frost. It's got a punch and drive to it that I really appreciate. And there are moments on here like that's All That's Left have a few moments on there that I'm like, ooh, this is really fun. Gavin's drumming style, once again, is top notch, and I really love what he's doing. I keep hearing things from Fear of a Blank Planet from Porcupine Tree on tracks like Rubicon and Now It's Yours. And, you know, I really enjoy some of the atmospheric takes that we have on the opening track of Put It Right, or one of the last tracks of Every Trace of Us. But I feel as if this album is begging to have that really big banger, that really long 8, 9, 14-minute build up and payoff that we got from albums like Someone Here Is Missing, Tightly Unwound, and All the Wars. Because once we got to Forget, the last track, I was waiting for it to do something more. And even though I applaud the band for giving us an album that is succinct, that is short, that is punchy, at just over 40 minutes worth of music, I applaud that, and I wish more bands would do this because it provides a very quick, digestible chunk that I'm able to just really sit with and ruminate with. You know, Steve Hackett did that with The Circus and the Night Whale, and I really, really appreciated that album for being short. I also appreciate this album for being as short as it is, but I just wish that one of these tracks was maybe 5 minutes longer to give us that big build-up and payoff that we got from that, 2010s era of The Pineapple Thief. Whereas this, it's just another album that unfortunately left me wanting more. It left me craving for more, and maybe some of that is the shorter runtime because, as I mentioned, once we get to that last track of To Forget, I was shocked that the album was over. I was like, wait, we're done? Yeah. This one, unfortunately, didn't get me back on that hype train of The Pineapple Thief, which I've been desperately craving for. I will say that, this album at least was a little bit stronger than Your Wilderness and Magnolia, but it didn't have that same kind of lasting power that I felt like Variations of the Truth and Disillusion had. So yeah, I'm still waiting for them to kind of get back on that train that I love so much, but I don't think they're ever really going to get there because people seem to like this version of the band a lot more than the earlier version of the band that I really, really appreciated and loved. And hey, if that's the music that they want to create, all the power to them. If they're selling out venues and they're selling their records, all the power to them. I'm just going to be on the sidelines cheering those other albums. So that's where I'm kind of at for It Leads to This. My overall verdict for this album is It Leads to This by The Pineapple Thief is one that I would ultimately skip. I know that's a little bit harsh, I get it, but this is how I would recommend this album to me. Just because we've had so many amazing albums that have been dropped already this year, and we're only 1.5 months in to 2024, this would be one that I'd be like, you can wait. But if you're a fan of the band, if you're in favor of this more style of The Pineapple Thief, I would check it out. But for me personally, I would skip it. They're just, it's more of the same from a band that I really, really love that has just kind of fallen off the wayside. So that's it for It Leads to This. That's what I got. This is my own opinion. This is just how I have approached this band. And yeah, I know I'm in the minority. But let me know what you thought about this album. If you loved it, if you hated it, by commenting down below. Let me know how I'm wrong, how I need to reassess it, how I need to listen to it 5 or 10 more times because I clearly didn't listen to it enough, even though I've listened to it at least 20 times. Please let me know how I need to give it one more spin to really get it. I'm being an ass. I'm sorry. But let me know all about that by commenting down below. Because that's all I got for you guys today. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.